What's up guys, this is Dark Magician here and welcome to another KOF video. So guys, again, a lot of videos to cover and now it's time for the character introduction for our newest boss, which is Extreme Mr. Karate 2. So okay, he's a new tank and he does have a new mode of tanking. So yeah, today's character introduction will be for Extreme Mr. Karate 2 that a lot have been waiting for. So yeah, Extreme Mr. Karate 2 is an API 15 tank. As you can see, if you see the stats, you will see a good anti-crit rate and a good block rate, moderate, not that good. But anyway, the feature says extreme damage reflection style, and this is it guys. He is a different type of tank that relies on his damage reflection, and I'm not talking about just minor damage reflection here. We're gonna talk about insane damage reflection. Okay, and his feature also says a Kyukugen Ryo because of course he's the member of a Kyukugen Ryo team along with Ryo, Robert, Yuri, Takuma, Robert 2002, New Mr. Karate, and Robert 11. Of course, this is a team by itself. Now, starting with the fates first, Neo Kyukugen Ryo, we need Extreme Mr. Karate 2, Robert 11, and Mr. Karate increasing attack plus 25%. Multi-style, we need Extreme Mr. Karate 2, Kim, Joe, and King increasing HP plus 25%. And hard-boiled, we need Extreme Mr. Karate 2, Diamond, and Ralph increasing HP plus 25%. So again, two fates are pretty easy. The third one is pretty much for the ones going for the Kyukugen Ryo team, or if you do have Robert and Mr. Karate, which is not so hard to unlock, I would say. Okay, and his weapon, of course, the Evil Spirit Mask, and he uses the Earth-Shaking Badge and Karate Tom. Now going to his fight, so first, it's called the Thorn Tiger Soul, so as you can expect, gain 55 rage when the fighter is dead on either side and restore extra rage when being attacked, so of course it's a tiger and a tortoise soul in one, which is appropriate because he's a tank. Now starting with his skills, first his passive. Increase own damage reflection when deployed, so again you're gonna see a lot of damage reflection here, and allies in front row will gain 40% of this effect, such that the buff can be stackable when Extreme Mr. Karate 2 is also in the front row. So he will increase his own damage reflection and 40% of that damage reflection will go to the allies in the front row, and if he was in the front row by himself, he will gain this additional buff as well. So yeah, you're gonna see more after that. Increase own defense by 30%, anti-crit by 40%, and max HP by 15% when deployed. Increase own defense by 30% and gain immunity to rage reduction effect for 1 round when his HP is below 50%. So when his HP goes below 50%, he will start getting those effects. And when his HP goes below 25%, dispel own debuff and petrification status immediately and restore own HP by 25% and decrease the amount of HP healed, or like the healing percentage of the opponent who attacked Extreme Mr. Karate 2 by 40% for 2 rounds, ignoring the immunity to debuff, and the effect can be dispelled. So that opponent will have less healing ability. Okay, and the effect can be activated once at most in each round, of course. And now, Extreme Mr. Karate 2 won't die when he takes lethal damage, as you would expect, and his ultimate resistance and small skill resistance will immediately increase by 25%, and the buff lasts for the whole battle and cannot be stacked. And his HP will be restored by 25%, such that the amount of recovery will not be changed, and this effect can only be activated 3 times. I mean, I don't know why they say only, because 3 times is pretty good in each battle. If there is only, of course, one enemy when Extreme Mr. Karate is deployed, the effect can be activated once. But of course, in tournaments, 3 times would be too OP, so they have put it in a way that it can be activated once. But again, guys, I would stress on this ability. I mean, he can resist death up to 3 times, and he will recover HP and everything. So that passive is pretty good actually. He can be very tanky because of it. Okay, and here of course increase own damage reflection by 30% at level 1, and this can go much higher. And you will see guys, I'm gonna stress again on his damage reflection by the end of the video because it's too much. I'm gonna say seriously, it's too much. Now I need to mention also his lake element first. In addition to that, his anti-crit will be increased by 50%, and small skill will be guaranteed in round 1. Of course, those are just the major points that will be changed in the lake element. Not much of a big difference, but I mean, lake element is not hard to unlock. Now, going to his minor skill, by the way, his skill set is pretty small, so that's something good. Attack a single enemy, and there is a 40% chance to taunt the target or confuse the target. Increase his own damage reflection by 20%, as if he does need an additional damage reflection. Immediately dispel his own debuff and petrification status when being controlled, and will restore HP by 15%. So like an overall minor skill, which is pretty good. I should also add the thunder element, in which here it will be a 60% chance to confuse the target, and healer, he would restore 15% HP and 200 rage as well. And when he dispels his debuff, he will increase 50% control free and 50% small skill chance. So his thunder element is pretty good as well, I would say. And finally, his ultimate. Attack a single enemy, increase own damage and resistance by 20%, decrease damage and resistance of the target by 20% as well, decrease rage restored to the target when being attacked by 50 for 1 round. Not very important, I'd say, in this stage, but anyway, deal extra damage that equals 15% of max HP of the target. That's actually always good. Whenever somebody deals a percentage, let's say, of damage to the opponent, it's always good. Ignore the immunity to debuff, and decrease the amount of HP healed of the target by 40% for 2 rounds. The same thing as we've seen in the passive. And after the weapon awakens, the effect will be improved in all round way. Increase own attack according to his own damage reflection, and he can dispel debuff for 1 ally. So yeah, after his weapon awakening, guys, he will increase his attack by 30%. The amount of damage reflection, which is pretty appropriate because his damage reflection will go high, so he will be improving his attack a lot as well. And again, he does clear the debuff for 1 ally, and it also includes petrification as well. Okay, in addition to that, finally, the smacks, or the water element, he will be able to attack the one with the lowest HP, so the opponent with the lowest HP. And in addition to that, of course, there will be improvement in the numbers, but in addition to that, he will also heal 25% of the total damage that he has done by this ultimate. Okay, so in addition to all that, he will also heal himself. I'd say his smacks is not pretty important, honestly. It doesn't really seem pretty important because he's not gonna be that much reliable on damage. He actually can do some decent damage for a tank, honestly, because again, he does, let's say, do damage with a certain percentage, and he does improve his attack after his weapon awakens, but still, he's not really much of a damage dealer himself. Okay, guys, so that was actually nice because his skill set is pretty small. So yeah, I should also add his gate partners, which are Rio, Robert 2002, and Yuri, according to the Taiwan version, of course. Probably we might get them, but there's also always a probability that we might not get those ones, and we might get other ones. But anyway, it usually always it always includes 1 API 14, 2 API 12 or 13, so it's not much of a big deal. Okay. So yeah, those were his gate partners, and here the question remains: is Extreme Mr. Karate 2 a good fighter or not? Now guys, you can see that he does have a different type of tanking, as I've mentioned. He's very tanky by himself, he can resist death 3 times, which is pretty awesome. He has insane damage reflection, guys. If you calculate it, if you include all the buffs that he can get with the damage reflection, it can reach more than 100%. So when you attack him, you will be the one losing HP and not him. So yeah, that's pretty annoying, guys, like really annoying. And at first, when I saw him in the Chinese version when he first came out, I thought it would be too OP, and I got disturbed, honestly, because of it. But then I did think of ways to counter him, and there are a lot of ways, from players in China to counter this guy. So I'm gonna state 2 ways to counter him. The first one would be shield users. So that shield users are immune to damage reflection. They don't have their damage reflected. Like for example, Elizabeth, Kula, and later on we will also have Hotaru and Billy, for example. Those are shield users. I don't know, there might be others as well. Mature as well, for example, of course, like Mature and Vice right now. So yeah, all of those people can counter the damage reflection. So that's why if you are using shield users, especially in the front row, you will be fine to an extent. You won't really be affected that badly with his damage reflection. And another way to counter him, which is to use healers in the 6th position of your team. So for example, the main healers which would be Superstar Athena, and later on Matinkan, which should appear soon here in Global. Those ones, if you can put them in the 6th position, so that after all your allies have made their ultimates and lost all of their HP, then here comes the healer, which can heal them back again. It can in a way counter Extreme Mr. Karate 2 to an extent, okay? And here the good thing is that most fighters won't really die immediately. I mean, yes, you will have your fighters, let's say, stuck at 1 HP because they have lost all their HP, but most likely they will revive, they will disappear, they will, I don't know, they will have means to remain alive, okay? So that's why I'd say Extreme Mr. Karate 2 is a very annoying character. He's a very good tank, but I doubt that he will remain functional for a very long time. So if you ask me the question, is he a good fighter or not? Yes, he is really good and he will be really annoying for now. But after a while, we will receive better tanks. So it depends on your team formation. For instance, if you really like the Kyokugen Ryo team, as I know some players are making this team, he's definitely a must-have. But aside from that, he's a skippable tank, let's say. Okay, and there are ways to counter his damage reflection, as I've mentioned. Okay guys, and again, in which teams you should use him? Again, we're all pretty much using the Mizuchi meta right now, so if you are lacking a tank, he would be a great option in that team, or you know, any other team, no specifications. Okay, so now going to the runes, which runes are good for him. Now here, of course, I would say any runes which fit a tank. Like you can go for Earth's Heart, you can go for Protector. Protector would be good as well. Heart of Thorns, which would be really good because of additional damage reflection, I would say. So if you can build more damage reflection, that would be really good. So yeah, I would say Heart of Thorns as rank 1, you know, it would be really good for him. Aside from that, again, Protector and Earth's Heart, I guess those 3 would be really good on him. Aside from that, let's go for the not the Protect, I always press that. The 5th Fight Soul. And here I don't think there's a specific Fight Soul aside from Unyielding. Unyielding, you know, just a typical Fight Soul for tanks. Aside from that, I don't see any specific one which will be, you know, specifically good for him. But Unyielding, it can be really good on him if you rely on you know, if you rely on him as your main tank. Definitely use Unyielding on him in this case. If for example you want him in the front row, if you can also use Guardian, for example. It can also be a good option. You know, any Fight Soul that can increase his tankiness, because after all, you do want to increase his tankiness as much as you can. You don't care much about his damage, so that's why I would recommend either one of those two. Okay guys, so I think that was it. Just a short character introduction because of his short skill set. He should be here soon, but again, let me know what you think about him in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.